One of the important things in the pastry shop is learning how to cook sugar and water. So in this pot here, we have sugar and water, and we've heated it to a certain temperature. Right now, it's at the hard crack stage, way up here at over 300 degrees Fahrenheit. But some of the lower temperatures are important too. So if we want to make, for example, an Italian meringue is egg whites that have been beaten until they're very fluffy, and then we pour into that meringue a hot sugar and water combination that is 121 degrees centigrade. 119 to 121, people use different amounts depending on how stiff you want it to be. Then further up the scale, you have soft ball, hard ball, and all the way up to hard crack, which is one of the hardest. That means what happens to the sugar when it's cold. So, for example, if I were to take some of this sugar now and take it out where it's at the hard crack stage, we will see that it becomes hard as glass. And so what happens there is, that's one of the things, we get it up to that temperature. Eventually we can take it up to 151 degrees centigrade, about 360 Fahrenheit. And right now it's like glass. So it's very brittle, even though it's still a little bit warm, and breaks apart. What we like to do with that is use it as a decoration as well. And as a decoration, it's called poured sugar, pulled sugar, or blowed sugar. So we're going to show you an example of blown sugar right now. So moving over to here, the same thing has happened. We've taken this sugar and cooled it down by pouring it onto a non-stick surface. You can either use a oiled marble, that's the old-fashioned way, or in this case we have these very nice silpats, they're called, which are non-stick, a silicone composite. So right now it's pretty hot, but it's the heat is being diffused down onto the cold table. So we move it around because this area is now hot, has absorbed that heat. So we move it around onto the cold stainless steel table until we can get it to a temperature that it's somewhere between liquid and solid. Right now, so you can see it's starting to get a little plastic. And by manipulating the temperature, we're able to achieve different sort of plastic effects. For example, over here where it's gotten very hot, we'll cool it down, the green piece here. So it's very liquid there, too liquid to really manipulate where we want it. But at this end, it's still quite plastic.
Can we move the torch? It's in front of.
So it's gone from this, which we created out of this kind of mixture here. So this one got still viscous, but since it's small, it cooled down. We put it in the center here, and that's going to heat it back up. Now at this point we would add the food coloring, or we could have added it in the pot as well. If you add it now, it becomes, there's more of these striations. So if you add it as you're mixing it, you can get this sort of this striated effect. And as a pastry chef, what we're looking for here is not only to manipulate it, but as you get it to the state where you're going to be able to form it into a shape like an apple, and then as it cools, let it keep that shape. We also, as we manipulate it, develop the shine. So right now it's just kind of a dull yellowish opaque color. But if you twist it and turn it about 40 times, you start to develop that shine. By putting it down on the table here, we're cooling it down again, since it's transferring its heat onto the sill pad in the table. It started to become almost white and shiny, as you can see there. As it remelts after being pulled like that, it becomes opaque again, as we have here. So since we have it on this black surface, the heat is absorbed quickly there and makes it liquid again. Start with a smaller piece. And once you've gotten that shine, then when you go back to it, even though it has become this opaque sort of flat, you get the shine back very quickly. Okay, our aim now is to shape it into a ball with even sides. And at this point, then, you can only set it down quickly so that the heat is maintained evenly throughout. You'll see why in a moment. Because as we blow the air into it through this sugar device, if there's a cool spot, it's going to set up and break. So we want the walls of this ball of sugar to be not only the same thickness throughout, but the same temperature throughout. So to do that, we're going to move it back and forth between the heat lamp, and we're going to use this device to take it off of this copper tube, and we're going to cool it down quickly here in front of the fan. So at this stage, it's still moldable, but it's starting to get more and more firm. So we're going to start to move it into the state that we want it to at the end, to look like a green apple. But we still want to have the ability to force air into it to keep that outside formed. So as we get closer, we're going to start to set that shape by running it in the fan here. So this sugar blowing device here allows the air to go forced in, and then some of it can come back out and land in this reservoir. So because what you want to do is you want to keep the air pressure inside the apple relatively high to keep pushing the edge out, but if it's too high, it'll explode. So it's become fairly brittle now, kind of like blown glass. And what we can do is then, so the copper is going to absorb the heat very quickly. And we're able to remove the tube without disturbing the rest of the apple. And at this point, then we can have some control. A little hot. So we have the blown sugar apple.